Okay, well, let me welcome each and every one of you. And I want to say thank you for making the time to be on the call this evening. Um, for those of you, if this is your first time to this presentation, my name is David Homer. I am a naturopathic doctor. I have been in the health world of healthcare for the last 30 years or so. In clinical practice for 25 years. I retired from clinical practice just about 4 years ago. But I'm still very much involved in the healthcare arena, just from a different perspective now. And the information that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, I really do believe that you're going to find it worthwhile, the hour that we're going to spend together. Um, the theme is unlocking human potential through mind body wellness. And it is really designed to help us to feel better, think better, and live better. And that is irrespective of where we may be in our lives. Wherever we may be, we can feel better, we can think better, and we can live better. If we are in a better place than we were last year, there's always better ahead. And I do believe that what I'm going to be sharing with you is the type of information that you can perhaps ponder, contemplate on, and at the end of this session, really think about how you can apply it to your own life, that you can actually live your best life. And that's our aim. Our aim is to be able to live our best possible life, to live a life that is worth living. And I can get a little bit passionate about this particular topic because of my own experiences of life and of my passion to want to see people live their best because of my own experience. So, unlocking human potential, and of course, when we speak about human potential, we're talking about that capacity that we have to always do better than we have done, to be able to maximize our abilities to, in every area of life, to do our very best in any area of life. And we're going to be doing that through understanding the relevance, the importance, and the critical nature of mind body wellness. And I'm going to do that in such a way that I want to bring together two things that we may be familiar with. And it's a concept that I'm sure we're all familiar with, but it's not necessarily an understanding that we clearly have. And tonight, we're getting just an overview and not getting into the details of it. That comes through workshops that we do from time to time. But the two aspects that I want to bring together into a singularity is the idea that living our very best life and being great in everything that we will do and living a healthy life are two sides of the same coin. And so I want to begin by creating a context of understanding and by showing you a model that gives an overview to help us to understand this mind body wellness and its critical importance as it relates to living a healthy life, living a prosperous life, and living our best life. And so I'm going to begin with this quote that our potential to heal and our potential to be great are two expressions of the same inner power. That's important. By recognizing and nurturing this power, we allow the inherent potential of both healing and greatness to naturally flourish. If you're here on the call this evening because you may have a particular illness that you want to deal with, or you may want to improve your health, or you may want to look at the potentials of living a disease-free life and not succumbing to illness as we get older. If it is that you're here because you're concerned about where you may be in your life financially or relationally, whatever aspect of your life wherever you are, or whatever you may want to see enriched and improved in your life, that what we're going to be talking about speaks to every aspect of our life. So when we talk about potential, the potential of a thing is always inherent to its design. And our human design, which is three-dimensional, body, mind, and spirit, that potential is inherent to our inner nature, our spiritual nature. We are spiritual beings of a three-dimensional nature, and the potential to be great, the potential to live a disease-free life, the potential to live our very best is within our true essence of being, which is our spiritual nature. That is where our potential really resides. That inner power is what expresses itself, not just in our ability to heal and be free of illness, but our potential to be great and to live our very best life. It is within our nature, and it is within the design of life that we live a prosperous life, a fulfilling life, an abundant life, a successful life. In fact, it is our birthright to have this. We have the capacity, we have the wherewithal, and we are able to live this type of life. This may not be the experience of everyone, but we do possess the potential. And our spiritual nature, the qualities of that spiritual nature is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control, and the values and the qualities that are expressed through those. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to get to the critical point of how mind-body wellness interplays and why we struggle with life and what we can do to overcome it. There is a creative order to life. It is seen in the way the universe works. It is seen in the way the cycles of nature work. It is seen in the way when you plant a seed in the ground and it begins to germinate and it begins to push up above the ground and it begins a process of unfolding growth until it bears fruit. You can see this flow, this creative order of life at conception in the womb, and how egg cell begins to transform into 2 and 4 and 8 different cells, and it differentiates itself until it becomes a marvel of human design 9 months later. There is this creative order to life, and there are principles and laws that govern this flow of life. And once we live by the qualities of our true spiritual nature, it aligns with those principles, and life is guaranteed. It is guaranteed that we will not fail at what we do. That's another conversation for another time. But what I want us to understand is that living that healthy and prosperous life, to live a creative and fulfilling life, to live a life that is thriving, that is purpose-driven, where we are not struggling, where we are financially free, we have good, strong relationships with families and others, to live a life that is full, a life that is worth it, a life that is wonderful in every way. In today's world, yes, in today's world. To do that, we have to live in alignment with the flow of the creative order of life. Now, how this works is that by design, life, this flow of life presents us with a continuous contrast of opposites. Every hour, every minute of every day, just about, the flow of life that we are experiencing day to day, there is this continuous contrast of opposites, and it's really designed for our growth and for self-awareness and for our development. And I want us to recognize from this is that choice between opposites, this contrast that's constantly life is presenting us with continuously. Choice is therefore the mechanism by which we will navigate this flow of life. And that's important to get, and that's another conversation again. Choice is the mechanism by which we will navigate the flow of life as to whether life is going to be an abundant life or not. And what happens is that we come into this world and we are taught from a very young age, from the time we are babies, we come into a world where we are acculturated or socialized or socially conditioned in a way where we learn to choose against ourselves. Inadvertently, we don't do this consciously, but it happens to us from babies, and then during those formative years is where we learn where we gather the programmings that determine how our life will unfold. And so we learn to make choices that contradict the core values of who we really are. And we do that, we're taught to do that based on social expectations. There are certain fears that we have. We are more concerned of what others may think or what others may say. So there's certain fears that we may have that we develop because of how we are acculturated, and we begin to choose. And right now, if we looked at our lives, even right now, there are things that we may like to do or want to do, things that we may know are good to do and even right to do, and we may choose not to do it for one reason or another. It could be something as simple as I know that I ought to do more of this in my life, or I know I ought not to do so much of that in my life, but yet we still do it. We make choices and we make decisions against our own values and our own nature. But we are taught from a very young age to do that. And as we grow and we get up and we become mature adults, it's no longer a thought. It happens reflexively and it happens automatically. But this is where we lose our true sense of identity and we adopt a false sense, which is egocentric living. And so life now is now governed by external influences more than our internal values. In fact, we often keep choosing against our own internal values. That is what happens, and what that creates is what we call mind-body dissonance. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance, where there is a disparity and a division or a fracture within our own selves between what we know and what we do. So anytime a person knows what they ought to do, what is in their best interest for themselves or for others, and for whatever reason, we may not prioritize it and we may do something else. Anytime a human being is consciously aware of what is the best thing in their own interest to do, but choose against it, we create a fracture in our being. We create a fracture in our consciousness. We create a fracture in how we see ourselves and how we see the world. This is where mind-body dissonance begins. This is where we begin to we lose our spiritual awareness. Our spiritual awareness becomes obscured in the background. It never disappears. It's always there because it's our true essence of being. It is our potential, but that potential now becomes obscured. That potential fades into the background and life begins to become a struggle. And this is where we're all struggling with life. This is where mindsets that we're struggling with, it's happening. Once there is mind-body dissonance, what arises out of this is an attitude of judgment. We now become judgmental towards one another. This fracture creates a separation, a mindset of separation, a mindset of limitation, a mindset of scarcity. This is where we struggle to make life work, make relationships work. We struggle with commitment. We struggle with procrastination. We struggle with self-sabotaging behaviors because we want to do better, but we are not doing better, even though we may know better. Mind-body dissonance happens right here, and the root of it is because we choose, in navigating the flow of life, we simply choose against our own value. And we're doing it every day. And you know where it begins and where it's happening every day with us? One place it's happening throughout, across the board of our lives when we stop to really think about it. But it's simply that we're putting things into our mouths and feeding our bodies in ways that we know better, but we will find a way to excuse it and still do it. That's just one aspect. But anytime that we know better, but yet we choose to not prioritize it and go against it, we're creating mind-body dissonance, and our brain becomes wired to that, and it becomes our natural flow of life. The result is we are completely out of sync with the creative order of life, and life becomes a struggle. And rather than get to a life of prosperity and health, and rather than experience a life of flow of abundance, which is naturally inherent to the order of life, rather than experience that, we experience with this fracture a fracture in abundance. And this is how it expresses itself. It expresses itself as lifestyle diseases on one side, and the other side of the coin is lack of abundance, a reduced quality of life, and a struggling standard of living. This is most people on the planet. We are fighting with life. We have mindsets and dispositions. We develop an unhealthy relationship with our bodies. We have a struggling relationship with our own minds. We can't harness them, and we end up in a cycle that keeps perpetuating itself. We deal with life one way when physically, we deal with life another way when it comes to our mindsets, and it's a cycle that we become trapped in, and life becomes burdensome. And unless we can get our mind and body back into its harmonious balance, unless we can bring that alignment back where mind and body are in their natural place, because once we do that, our essential nature, our essence of spiritual qualities will start to surface. We don't have to know how to live by love and to have joy and to have unshakable peace and to live with prosperity. We don't need to know how to do that. It's inherent to us. And I know what I'm telling you because of experience and what I've seen happen with myself and others. And the only way you can know it is that you have to now test it for yourself. But once we begin to engage the process of restoring balance and harmony to our mind and body, our essence and the qualities of our spiritual nature just begins to emanate. It begins to surface. It begins to come up. It begins to come out. But why it's not happening for us is because it is blocked. It is obstructed. It is because of this imbalance. And the imbalance or the dissonance happens because how we have been taught to choose against our own well-being, our own inner values. And today you and I are going through life and we're fighting up and struggling with life, and everybody wants to live a good life. Everybody is struggling to try and make life work for them. And we all have our own struggles in our own ways. All of us are going through it, myself included. And we all do this to different degrees, and we're all looking for solutions, and we're all looking for a way to make it work. That's why you're here on this call tonight. You're hoping to hear something that will make a difference. And I believe what you're going to hear is going to make a huge difference, a major difference to you. So, but we're all here and we all want to make it work. And the key is we have to bring this balance back. But as long as we continue to prioritize outer influences over our inner values of well-being, we will create that disharmony in our living. And it manifests as what we call stress and negative emotions, and a loss of our spiritual potential to live our best life once we continue to do that. If we look at our lives today, the quality of our thoughts and the quality of our emotions, this is our gauge as to whether we are in alignment or out of alignment. When we are in alignment, the quality of our thoughts and our emotions are harmonious, they're loving, they're peaceful, they integrate with the flow and order of life. When we're stressed out, and there's negative thought patterns and negative thinking, we're out of alignment. And once that happens, there is no escaping it. Life is a struggle. And to regain the natural mind-body harmony, our thoughts, our emotions, our words, our actions, it must align with the spiritual values of our inner well-being. So that may be, that's giving us the solution simply, but that's a tall order. To be able to shift our mindsets, to have more positive mindsets, to be able to harness our thought patterns and to think more positively and to think on the things that are of good report and things that are of good value and things that are excellent. To be able to do that, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It takes discipline, it takes effort, but I'm going to give you the solution. Here you have the pathway right here, but I'm going to show us how we can do it tonight, and it's very, very important. This mind-body dissonance, it expresses itself in these two ways. Our quality of life and our standard of living is affected, but the first way it is illnesses in our body. Illnesses in our body is what I want to highlight now is the fundamental expression of mind-body dissonance. The World Health Organization calls it the global burden of disease, and it is a global pandemic, far greater, times over than the pandemic that shut the world down a few years ago. We have a pandemic that's happening every single day and every single year that kills far more by disease than the COVID pandemic, and nobody talks about it, nobody even thinks about it. But the World Health Organization calls it the global burden of disease. What I want to say is this challenge of humanity here is not an issue in and of itself. It is simply an expression of the way how we deal with life. We call it lifestyle diseases, but we never deal with our lifestyle. We try to deal with the disease. But as long as we continue to try and treat the disease, as long as we are targeting the disease, we are not dealing with the cause. And we will keep going in the wrong direction. Because true healing comes from within, and it's not external intervention, although that has its place. But what I want us to get from this is that this pandemic of lifestyle disease that kills more lives than any other form of death on the planet, it's just an expression of this mind-body dissonance. And on the flip side of this is the struggles of life, because the very principles that it takes to live a healthy life are exactly the same principles that is required to live a prosperous and successful life. They're not two different things, they're two expressions of one thing. We want to be prosperous, we want to live a good life, we want to live a successful life, we want to live a life of high achievement. We need to live a healthy life. But living a healthy life is not going to happen unless we can get our mind and body to function in their natural state of harmony and unity. And that's what we're looking at. So not to think that illnesses and sickness and diseases that we experience in our bodies is just an anomaly of life that just happens during the course of life. It doesn't. We earn it inadvertently, but by the way we think, how we manage our stresses of life, how we go through, but it all comes down to the choices that we are making every moment of every day. Choice is the way that we navigate this journey of life. And if we choose against our own well-being, only one thing happens. It creates a fracture in our capacity to be our best, and that cascades into all kind of social issues, not just with ourselves, with our relationships and everyone around us. When we look at the world today and we see the social polarizations and the moral decay of society and all these things that people complain and point to today, they're not different things. They all come out of this one fundamental issue, which is human beings being taught, and it's a culture. And it's not that our parents meant to teach us, or society or the education system meant to teach us this way. It's just the world that we live in today. So when we come into the knowledge of it, as we are doing in part tonight, it's now our responsibility to make the shift. I know from working in healthcare, and particularly in the area of mind-body integration for years, that it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's where we must pay attention and where we must emphasize. And so the body, which takes us through the journey of life, and the mind, which navigates and transacts this whole journey, we have to get those in sync. And when it comes to what we call health, which we perceive just relates to the body, but it's all of who we are, if we just looked at it from that narrow perspective of dealing with our body, that alone can tell us that when we go into the restaurant tomorrow, or when we prepare our foods tomorrow, or when we leave this call and go into the kitchen, if we know what we are doing is not in our best interest, but still choose to do it, know that we may already have been conditioned from years of doing it to not even pay attention to it. We do it reflexively, we do it compulsively without thinking. But once we are aware that we are going against our own value, it is going to be difficult to develop the right mindset and the right attitude, the right disposition to be able to make life work. The result is our bodies are going to express that imbalance in what we call disease, and our life is going to express that imbalance in what we call the struggles of life. That's the long and the short of it. People say to me, but you're going to get disease anyway as you get older. That is the narrowness of the mind, of the thought patterns that come out of that fractured way of living. Aging is indeed inevitable, disease is not. And the key is we have to have mind and body in its balance so that our true essence of being can flow through and be what guides our life. The body is the vessel that takes us through this experience of life, but the mind is the gateway that is shaping that experience. And that's why they must be in harmony and they must be in balance if we're going to unlock that potential to live a healthy and a disease-free life. Disease is not inevitable. We can live disease-free. And to help us to understand this, that we can actually wrap our minds and wrap our arms around it, we could begin to now walk into how we can do it. I'll break it down a little bit further. The key to mind-body balance is in neurology. Neurology is simply the medical science that talks about the brain and the nervous system that provides the communication between mind and body. And this is, I'm going to just simplify it, but this will help us to understand how we can walk into it. The brain, the mind and the body, they converge in neurology. Neurology is just the control center. This is the brain and the central nervous system. It's the control center for processing and transmitting information for all functions of both mind and body. Our thoughts, emotions, perceptions, beliefs, it's all being transmitted, it's all being processed by the brain and the nervous system. Our physiological function of our body, every cell in the body that's functioning, every organ and system in our body that's functioning, all of it is being processed and transmitted through neurology, through the brain and the nervous system, through the body's communication pathway. Mind and body converge right in this hardware. I'm going to use computer language a little bit. Let's call this the hardware. This hardware is processing aspects of mind, aspects of body. It's inseparable. That's important. Why? Because if we can keep neurology in order, we can have better mind, better body, because they converge right here. And how it works is that programmed into this hardware is what we call genetic programming. We'll call it the operating system. Genetic program is the pre-installed programs that's installed on the hardware, and it happens from the time the fetus is developing in the womb. The innate intelligence which built and runs the body, it sets the foundation for all biological and life-sustaining functions. So right now, 95% of biological functions that's taking place right now in our bodies, which are millions of functions taking place at this moment, is all being controlled automatically by this programming. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't even have to think about how to think. It's all being run automatically by the genetic programming that's pre-installed on the hardware. This is the operating system. This is running our bodies and keeping it in balance, synchronized, in harmony. It keeps it in order. When everything is in order, it doesn't get sick. It doesn't fail. It is so precise. It's a system of precision, and it's installed in neurology. The other part of it now is we can call this the software. This is lifestyle programming. Lifestyle programming, it's the acquired patterns of thoughts, emotions, and habits that we learn from a child growing up. These are all habits, our lifestyle habits that we learn that create the experience of life. These can either modify, enhance, or disrupt the genetic programming, all depending on if it's compatible with it. If the software is not compatible with the operating system, just like a computer, it creates a conflict. Now, our lifestyle programming, we also, 95% of that, we don't have control over either. That's all. This is also installed in the hardware throughout life. And 95% of it, we have no control over because it's subconsciously programmed. Our habits, our emotions, we don't consciously think that I'm going to get upset when somebody speaks to me in a particular way and they're rude and we get upset about it. We don't say, I think I'm going to get upset. Or we don't think consciously, I'm going to become fearful. They're all reflexive. It all happens because it's all programmed. How we think, how we feel, and how we act in our lifestyle, 95% of it is all being run by programs that's been installed through our living experiences. This is all being run by neurology. Now, when lifestyle is conditioned with negative thinking patterns and emotions, suppressed traumas, negative response to life, which we call stress, unhealthy habits, we disrupt the natural balance of neural programming because it is in conflict with it. And once that happens, a disrupted neural program, it distorts the harmony between mind and body, affecting efficient physical and mental functioning. The body is going to express the distress or the imbalance between mind and body is expressed throughout every biological system. Every thought, every emotion that we have is felt and read by every cell within the system. This is all validated by the medical science of psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics. They teach us that how the frequencies of thoughts and emotions have significant impact on our cellular and biological systems far more than what our diet does. And so this is where this mind-body balance or this mind-body dissonance comes into play because the lifestyle programming is not compatible with the genetic programming, but they're both installed on the same hardware. And that's now our personal responsibility to get that right. This is where our fight is, as I was saying earlier, this is where it's all happening. Now, regaining mind-body harmony, it restores the performance between the mind and body, optimizing the body's natural healing state. The body naturally will heal itself of anything. You can look up, if you don't already know about it, you can look up in the research because there's lots of resources within the medical arena and in the research, all bona fide documented research on spontaneous healing. Or you may be familiar with the placebo effect and all the research that's been done on that, that shows that the mind has significant control over the body to where the body can heal of anything. In other words, the body's natural state of balance is it heals itself. The body strives continually 24/7 to maintain its balance. It's always striving to maintain its balance. That is its pre-installed program genetically is to always remain balanced. But when we choose a lifestyle and habits that push against this balance, day by day, we're living a particular way, we're thinking a particular way, we're responding to life a particular way, and we're pushing against the natural balance, the body is continuously always trying to rebalance itself. That rebalancing against the negative input, this is what we call symptoms. Symptoms is the body always trying to find its balance against what we are introducing to throw the balance out. And that conflict is what's called symptoms. How we approach that is not by restoring balance so that the body naturally will do what it is designed to do, which is heal and repair from anything. Rather than do that, we introduce something externally to try and fix it. The whole healthcare model doesn't deal with realigning. It deals with introducing something externally in order to affect and influence. But we must remember that the illness or the disease is just an outcome. It is not the problem. It is an outcome. So we introduce different external remedies, which has its place, and they could even save our life, and it really has its place in society. But when our body starts to express mind-body imbalances, and it could be things like poor sleep, which most of the world is suffering from, low energy, aches and pains, a weak immune system, chronic stress, poor mobility, etc., when our body is expressing these signs of imbalances, and they may not be what we call bona fide or full-fledged diseases, but they're expressions of the imbalance that will end up taking us there. We use these external remedies. We use pharmaceutical drugs, over-the-counter medicines, holistic medicines, supplements. So whether it be natural or whether it be synthetic, either way, we're trying to bypass the body's natural ability to heal, introduce something into the body to affect an outcome. The result is that depending on the nature of it, we can get relief, but we still have an imbalance that comes back as something else, if not the same thing. And we have this continuous cycle as we get older, and it cascades down, and it becomes a bigger and bigger issue. And one day we say, well, it's because I'm getting old, and as you get old, you're supposed to fall apart. That's not true. It's common, it's not normal. And so what we're striving for is to get to the root of this and get our mind and body into balance. The challenge with the current solutions that we have, which are needful, is that they're often short-term, they come with side effects, contraindications, allergic responses, and they have risks and challenges that come with it, but they don't get to the root of the problem. We are still sailing our boat through life with a hole in it, and all we're doing is bailing the boat out, bailing the boat out. And one day the hole will get big enough to where none of this is going to help us. So I want to pull back at this point and say, while we're focusing on illness and sickness and disease, I want us to pull back and see that this is not the problem. This has been happening. We've been conditioned about this so long that even when you leave here and when you have to interface with any sickness or disease, be it with yourself or anyone that you know, the automatic thinking, because we've been conditioned that way, is to think of what do I need to take rather than how do I need to change the way I live, the way I think, the way I respond to life. That's not our thinking, because that's not the way we have been taught. We've been taught from the time we were small, if there's a pain, if there's a discomfort, if there's an issue, there's always something to take to try and fix the body, when the body knows exactly how to fix itself. But we have been acculturated to perceive this in a way that if we are going to live a better life, and that's what it's about. It's not about fixing disease. Disease is just an expression of one aspect of or one challenge of life that prevents us from living our best life. That's just one expression of it. If we begin to employ the principles that bring mind and body to balance, back into balance and back into harmony, two things will start to happen. Our body will start to work better and our lives will start to work better. That's the approach we're looking for, is in order to do that. And so we need to have, the whole world needs a completely new approach and one that gets to the root of the problem. If we keep focusing on illness as the challenge of humanity and trying to fix that, we will keep struggling with life. We will keep struggling with disease. We will keep struggling with relationships. Life will always be a struggle until we die in debt and we die of a disease, which is the way most of the world is doing it. We have all seen this. All of us, we have experienced this over and over. We've seen it happening to our family, to our friends, etc. It has to come to a point, and we're living in a time where this doesn't have to be this way. It can all change. Along my journey in this way, I came across this gentleman, and he was doing something that was so unique. It was so incredible that as I looked into it, I started out with disbelief because he was merging state-of-the-art science with a holistic approach to well-being, and his approach was supporting the body's innate healing capacity to naturally restore and optimize mind-body balance. Now, I had never come across any approach or any technology or any intervention that was addressing mind-body balance. When I retired from clinical practice, and over the last 4 years, my whole study and my whole integration of what I'm introducing into a program that I'm developing is all about mind-body balance. So when I came across this caught my attention. And I had to see what was this that this man was doing to naturally restore and optimize mind-body balance. And I started to hear about his story. And when I heard him speak and the passion in his voice, that drew me in because I recognized the same thing in myself. His mother, who suffered from multiple sclerosis, a neurodegenerative condition, he grew up seeing that, and as he became an adult and as he became successful in his field of engineering, he set out on a journey to find a solution for his mother's problem. It took him on a quest where he met with the best of minds and the best of scientists that dealt with neurology and neuroscience to try to find a solution. Of course, there is no medical solution for it. But because of that, his quest took him into, there must be a way in order to do it. And because he's a system engineer that deals with complex mechanisms, he was able to develop using AI and algorithms of how to take the whole database of science and to be able to correlate it. He tells a story, I won't go into that, but he came up after 15 years, he was able to develop a simple technology. And because of that, and because it goes against the grain of what we are taught of how to, and because it deals with mind-body balance, and because it's now getting to the core and the root of the problem, he was able to say, and he says this everywhere he goes, I am here to build something generational that will transform the world. Anything else is a waste of time, and he's committed his life now to doing this. His mother, who was supposed to be dead years ago, is still alive today because of it. And how simple it is so simple that it can almost bypass us because of how we are conditioned to think. Let me tell you how simple it is. It is as simple as putting on a pair of spectacles. If we do an eye test and our eyes are impaired, our vision is impaired, by simply applying spectacles to our face, our blurred vision can become clear instantly. It's completely drug-free, it's completely non-invasive. Nothing enters the body, nothing goes into your system. You just simply take a device. We call them glasses or spectacles. You put them on and instantly your vision is clear. It is a technology that is that simple. In a very similar manner, if you do a brain scans and the neural programs that have become disrupted and our systems are not running properly, mentally it's not efficient, physically our bodies are not efficient because our neural pathways have become disrupted because of lifestyle habits, etc. By simply applying a super patch, which is 100% drug-free and non-invasive, by simply putting it on your skin, instantly your brain and the function of your brain comes right back into order. The result is your body starts functioning better and your mind starts to become more orderly in its function. That is mind-blowing in itself. This is what it looks like. And this is how simple it works. This is one of these super patches. This super patch is called, this one is called Lumi. There's nothing in it. There's no substances. I don't know if you can see that. There's just a pattern that's engraved on it. And you just simply do this. Just stick it on your skin. And instantly, and when I say instantly, like that, it sends a signal to my brain that my brain now starts to function more orderly based on the pattern. I'll explain that in a minute. I'll give you an example of Mr. Jay Dhaliwal doing a test using EEG equipment to demonstrate. It's just a 2-minute video to demonstrate what I just said, and then I'll get in to tell you the simplicity and the science that makes this work so easy. It's so simple, it is mind-blowing, but what it does, it reveals the marvel of the human design. And when I understood the science of it, the neuroscience of it, I was blown away by it. After a few months of using this now, I can tell you it is absolutely amazing. So let me show you. It's called vibrotactile trigger technology. And it's the only technology in the world that utilizes the neural haptic system that every human being has.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay Dhaliwal. I'm the CEO and founder of Vox Life and the creator of Vox Life HPT. Today, I want to talk to you about a Harmony Neuro Patch. And what this product does is actually stimulates receptors on our skin, sending a neurosignal to our brain to help it reach homeostasis. This is the only product in the world that relies on the neurohaptic system that every single one of us has to optimize our neurology and optimize our health. Today, with the help of Dr. Mark DeBrincat, our VP of Clinical Strategy, we're going to be using an FDA-cleared 19-channel EEG headset, as well as FDA-cleared software to visualize, record, and show the impact that our technology has on our neurology and our brains to help it reach optimal performance. What we want to show today is how the Harmony Neuro Patch helps that dysregulated yellow, blue, and red colors in the brain maps transform into that healthy green homeostasis neurology that is the foundation of health and wellness. So what we're looking at right now is a neurological QEEG output of Mike's limbic system. The 19 channels are reading over 60,000 brainwaves a second and generating an output of neurofunction and brainwaves. What we want to see now is where that suboptimal red and yellow colors are. We want to see them turning as much as possible to a healthy green with the application of our HPT patch. So we've applied the patch now to Mike's arm, and within 10 seconds, you're seeing that predominant yellow and red become predominantly green. Just for clarification, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing in the world that has this output at this rate of speed without drugs, without chemicals, without electricity. That's the power of Vox HPT. So when we see a healthy green neurology, what we're looking at is a brain and a mind in homeostasis. It is operating in its optimal function. And this is so important. And this is why it's so important. So Vox Life HPT, as we demonstrated with our neuro patch, helps the central nervous system reach homeostasis in our neurology. And the reason this is so important for overall wellness and health is that neurology is the top of the pyramid of our physiological health and wellness paradigm. First is neurology at the very top, then there's chemistry, then there's biology, then there's physics and mechanics. Neurology will have an impact all the way through our entire physiology. Healthy neurology, healthy body, better wellness.
Let me tell you just briefly how the simplicity and the potency is a very complex mechanism, but I'll try to explain it to you very simply. The technology is all based on Nobel Prize science that goes back to 1939, where two scientists discovered that every atom, including every atom within every cell of the human body, transmits and receives electromagnetic signals. That's important because the language of neurology, the language of the brain and the nervous system that is processing all thoughts and biological function, the language of that are waves of electromagnetic signals. And they discovered that then. Years later, two more Nobel Prize laureates, building on that science, discovered what they call ion channels in the skin tissue that detect vibration, texture, and pressure, transmitting the stimuli as electrical signals to the brain, where the information is processed and interpreted. Now, how we can relate to this and understand this is by understanding Braille, which blind persons use to read. Braille, which are these raised dots on a surface, and a blind person will just put the fingers across them, and they're able to read. Now, if you ever put your fingers on Braille, you'll be amazed as to how they could even tell anything just by putting their fingers on multiple dots at a time. What we may not be aware of is that the dots are arranged in what they call tactile patterns. And once they put their fingers on it, these ion channels detect the vibration of the pattern, sends a signal to their brain telling them if it's a symbol, a letter, a word, or number, or what, and so they're able to read that way. It is through that same haptic mechanism where the skin is detecting the vibration of the pattern, because all of our sensory perceptions, our eyes, our ears, our smell, they all do the same thing. They translate vibration into electrical signals, sends it to the brain, and that's how we're able to interface with the world through our five sensory perceptions, all through vibration translated into electrical signals. And now these ion channels, when you put the patch onto the skin, the ion channels in the skin, they just detect the vibrational pattern of this that's engraved on this, absolutely no ingredients, sends a signal to the brain in order for the brain to function properly according to what the pattern, the information the pattern is sending. So after 15 years of research and development, vibrotactile trigger technology was developed. It has become today peer-reviewed and published research. It's published in some of the most prestigious medical journals and scientific journals. And more than that, now it's now being sought after across the globe. Last year, the company was asked to present its innovation and its technology at the World Congress of Psychiatry, the European Sleep Research Society, the World Congress of Pain, and how these things, how the technology, the simplicity of it is able to impact wellness on multiple levels without introducing anything into the body. It's just harnessing, it's just causing the mind and body, that mind to body connection. It's now harnessing that, and that mind body communication is coming back on stream. And the result is better wellness, but more than that, better mentality. Now, this is so far reaching that it's easy for it to go over our heads. Why am I going backwards? Oh. So super patches, they truly do unlock the human potential within by enhancing that mind-body communication. So like Braille, The tactile patterns on each superpatch send sensory vibrations as electrical signals to the brain, targeting the repair and rebalancing of neural pathways linked to specific physical and emotional functions. This restores the alliance for optimal physical and mental performance. Now, this is really, really important because once we can harness the communication between mind and body, which is a natural thing that we need to have done, it creates a bridge, ladies and gentlemen. It's creating a bridge for us to be able now to harness our well-being in ways that was very difficult before. Because we've all been trying to get our health right. We've all been trying to get our mentalities and mindsets, and we've tried all kinds of techniques to do that. And it's always a struggle to do that. But when our brain starts to function more orderly and our mind starts to become more coherent to the body, it creates an experience that most people are not even familiar with. And when it begins to happen, a lot of people don't know what to do with it. They feel better in their bodies, but the sense of well-being that begins to emerge, how to nurture that, we're not familiar with because we're not familiar with our brains functioning in a more orderly manner. Superpatch has developed 12, now 13 types of patches that helps to harness this mind-body integration. It's a suite of non-invasive, 100% drug-free performance and wellness solutions designed to enhance what your brain and your body are meant to do when they're properly coordinated. Each super patch has its customized VTT patterns that stimulate the mind to body connection, triggering the body's neural response to achieve greater physical and mental function. Now, to be able to harness this and to be able to, without any drugs, any substances, any ingredients of any kind, just by harnessing what naturally exists. And I just want to emphasize this. These patches do not help illnesses. The patches are helping to restore the natural balance that fixes the body all on its own. And that's an important distinction. These are mind-body solutions we all need. They enhance physical and mental well-being. It's backed by research proven by science. It addresses the biggest needs in health, wellness, and lifestyle performance. They're effective, almost immediate results, almost because everybody's pre-existing imbalances, everybody's neurology is different and unique, as your fingerprint is unique. So some people get results in minutes, some people get it in hours, some people may get it in days, but it depends on your age, etc. But you put them on, they begin working immediately, but the results can show differently depending on individuals' situation. There are no contraindications, so if you're on medications of any type, you don't have to worry about interactions because there are no ingredients, there are no frequencies, there's no medicines, there's no electricity, there's nothing on it except an engraved pattern. So they're non-invasive, completely safe, easy to use. It's even safe for children, it's safe for the elderly. And when I started to try these for myself, I was very surprised how surprisingly affordable such a technology is in this day and age. A healthy neurology equals the key to preventing disease. And this is also very important. If we can maintain an optimal neurology, we are looking at a better health span, better quality of physical well-being. We're looking at a better quality of mind, and we're looking at a better quality of life. We're looking at going from just feeling well, we're going into another range called prevention, reduce risk of degeneration. The more our neurology can stay balanced and optimal. And that's not the easiest thing to do in the world we live in today. Conversely, if we continue to live with suboptimal neurology, we'll always experience these symptoms of imbalance, and it's going to lead us towards a declining physical well-being. But remember that physical deficiencies that we feel in our bodies because of the imbalance or the dissonance or the disharmony between mind and body, that's only one expression of a life that is going to be a life of struggle. of life of working hard. It doesn't mean that you cannot make it succeed in life, but I promise you, you're gonna have to work a whole lot harder, and you have to employ a whole lot more effort to make it work. Just to go through a few of the patches with you, that this is the one that was just done in the demonstration. This is my favorite patch. It is perhaps everybody's favorite patch when they use it, because this brings the whole brain into homeostasis. When you saw the demonstration on the video, when Jay talked about bringing the brain into homeostasis, that simply means that it goes from being a very restless state to becoming more orderly and more coherent in its function. Now, that has far-reaching implications once the brain, through what they call neuroplasticity, the brain begins to rewire and reorganize itself back to this new balance. That happens over time. But the more that happens, the greater and greater your biological systems come into more and more coordination as well. But from the time you start using the Liberty, what you will notice almost instantly, when I say instantly, I mean within seconds, your balance, your stability, your strength, and your range of motion will improve within a matter of seconds. It works that fast. It reduces inflammation, is anti-aging, and it has, as your systems become more coordinated, different people experience different types of improvements. Again, it's just bringing things into balance, and your body, driven by its own innate intelligence, knowing what is out of balance, your body just starts to fix what needs to be fixed. So there is one to help restorative sleep, which the majority of the planet, we don't get restorative sleep, but we are not even aware of it. We think just because we sleep through the night, we have deep restorative sleep, but most people actually don't because of stress levels, etc. This is one of my most favorite patches. This is for people who are dealing with stress and, emotional traumas and a lot of anxiety, etc. This helps to bring that calmness. It helps to bring that balance back. The Defend is probably one of the most, in my 30 years in the healthcare arena, I have not come across anything that regulates your immune system and bring it back to its optimal function as quickly as this. And I've seen people use this, and people that have the symptoms of the flu, achy bodies, sneezing, fever, and in a matter of minutes, the symptoms just go. It can work that fast. Let me tell you, the human body is an amazing design. And if we can get brain and body in harmony, what happens is absolutely amazing. For those with pain, there's one to deal with all different types of pains. Athletic performance, you're into the gym, you're an athlete, more strength, more power. Everybody I can tell you, going to the gym, you have this patch on, you're going to feel the difference in your strength, your power, your stamina. And the other benefits that it comes with it from this neurological and this neuromuscular enhancement, it's absolutely amazing. Focus, this is something that I think everybody needs, not just because you want better concentration and memory and focus and attention, etc. Not just for mental clarity. Granted, you're going to get that. But today there's more cognitive decline, more mental issues of dementia and Alzheimer's, these cognitive issues. And there are a number of reasons why that's happening. But if we can keep the centers of the brain that regulate these qualities of memory and enhancements, we all should keep that functioning at its best. Now, let me be clear. This is not a problem with the brain we're talking about. The brain, the language of the brain is waves. It's all electrical signals of waves. It's just waves. And what happens is that these waves, they get thrown out of sync. It's like a radio wave that you pick up on your station. If it is well tuned and you pick up the wave, the signal is clear. If you're not properly tuned and you're not picking up the signal, the static that comes through the radio, there's a lot of static and you're not getting the signal is not clear and the reception is not good. And it's not at the wave, something has happened to the wave in the air, the radio wave is still there, the tuning is not right. It's a similar way. Our brain waves which is running off the programs, pre-installed programs. These waves get messed up because we introduce waves of thought and emotions and responses to life that just throws these signals off. The patches just brings these signals back in order. The result is the information and the communication between brain and body now becomes well tuned, and what naturally happens is the body starts to function better. And then what follows that is a different sense of mentality and sense of well-being, and how we think, that also now begins to change. For those who want to get some of those extra pounds off, and you're not able to get the activity that you want in because you're glued to your desk because of your job, this will help to burn 25% more calories while you're at rest. For men, our masculine function that tends to decline with age, you want to reclaim that virility and so on. That helps you in that department. The patch that I just put on is the Lumi patch, this is an absolutely wonderful patch. It's not just good for healthy skin. This is healthy skin all throughout your body. And like everything else, it begins to work pretty quickly. But the testimonies of people that have told me what is happening to them by using this patch, it is just absolutely phenomenal. Kick It is for those who are struggling with addictions, struggling to overcome bad habits, etc. This balances the certain centers of your brain. All habits and addictions are emotionally encoded in the brain. This balances the amygdala, the limbic system, those parts of the brain that deals with emotional regulation, and it makes it easy now to overcome those habits by regulating that. But we still have to make the choice. The choice to not do it is still in our hands. Joy is for those who are feeling low, who may be going through some levels of depression and things like that. It helps to uplift, give you that sense of well-being, a more positive attitude, a more optimistic mood, brings that sense of joy back into your life. And the latest one that they brought out was Boost, which is to boost your energy. I call this energy on demand. This is clean energy. You use this, you don't need stimulants, you don't need these energy drinks. This will serve you well and serve you far healthier and far better than that. Here's something that's really, really important. When it comes to harnessing our lives, when it comes to these subconscious programmings that we are running by reflexively, these things that research has taught us that is within the first 6 years of life, these subconscious programmings that are installed into us as children that define how we look at the world, how we respond to life, why we do the things we do, why we think the way we think. They're all subconsciously ingrained programmings, and it's installed within the first 6 years of life, according to psychology and neuroscience. And they're installed automatically when the brain is functioning in what they call theta and delta waves or frequencies. That's important to know. But between the first 6 years of life, when we have not developed our conscious brains yet to think consciously and to make rational decisions, our brains are still in this, what they call delta and theta waves. And you can see them down here. And that's where it's all installed. If we want to rewrite the subconscious programmings that's causing us to respond to life in a way, you can use meditation, we can use metacognitive exercises, and there are lots of ways to try to get over these habitual lifestyle patterns that causes us to respond to life in ways. But through research and through the science, through EEG scans, super patches, through our science, we've determined that this combination of patches, EEG studies indicate that the Liberty, Peace, Joy, and Kick It, in combination, they synchronize the brain waves to operate in theta and delta. This is like mind-blowing. Because for us to be able to wear these patches, have our brain waves function at this level where we can sit down very quietly and we can reinstall and rewrite the programmings that's been causing us to reflexively and automatically live in ways. We could say, oh, I wanted more patience. I just can't deal. I'm not patient. I have a problem with anger. I have a problem with this. And we just respond out of it. You know what? You can rewrite those programs now. You can rewrite them by going right back down to how they're installed. They're installed when the brain waves are functioning at this level. And this combination of patches help us to do that. So what I'm saying is that what I'm introducing you here to, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that this does not exist anywhere in the world. When I met what this guy was doing, and it fits so seamlessly into the work that I was doing, and since I've been using them, I'm suggesting to you there's nothing safer, there's nothing more natural, there's nothing that is more effective that I've seen in 30 years of healthcare that not just helps the human body to naturally come back into its most optimal function, but at the same time, it helps our brain to function more orderly and our minds to come more on stream. Because why? Neurology, mind and body merges in neurology. So when we bring neurology and the brain and the nervous system into balance, mind starts to become more enhanced, body becomes more enhanced, life begins to get better. This is a technology of wellness that's introducing a new approach that has never existed in healthcare before. It is supported by this advisory board, brilliant doctors in their own right that support the research and development team, and they're out in the field doing real world testing within their practices and in their specific fields. They all have research published papers that they on the technology and how it is real world application. So we have by far the best product in the world to enhance well-being, and I have joined that quest to let the world know. I'm inviting you to test it. I'm inviting you to try it. I'm inviting you, forget about the patch. It's not about the patch. I'm inviting you to harness your own life, to harness your own well-being. Yes, your body, if you can get your body working better, it's going to affect your brain and your mind is going to work better. You get your mind working better, your body's going to work better. It's a feedback loop. I'm inviting you to know, but what it's going to do is now allow us to be able to harness our life. That mind-body wellness, when we can bring that into balance and begin to nurture that, our true potential, our true essence of being is going to start to surface. This is so life-changing. This is so life-transforming. I don't know anything else in the world that has this potential that works like this. So where do you need to restore your balance? Because the whole world needs this. The whole world is a global pandemic of mind, and the root of it is mind-body imbalance. The entire world needs this. We all need this. And I'm inviting you so there are two ways. The first way is experience it for yourself. These are advanced solutions for enhancing well-being that's uniquely tailored to you. Why? Because your neurology is tailored to you. Everybody have their own unique neurology. It's like a fingerprint. It's like the DNA. You put it on when your brain and body becomes balanced, your body, driven by the innate intelligence that runs it, that determines what has to be fixed and how it will be fixed. So it is so personalized. It is so unique. There's nothing else that works like it. You can check our Facebook page, Patch and Go. It has thousands of testimonies from people all over the world that are experiencing the amazing life-changing results of what these patches will do. I want to keep emphasizing this is beyond your body feeling better and working better. This is about harnessing your life in ways that was not as easily available before. You can try it risk-free. You can get it directly from an associate who might have invited you onto the call or through their website. The intellectual property is protected in 186 countries. It's not available on retail platforms. If you ever find it there, it won't be there long because the company will have them take it down. There are no white label products there. The company does not outsource this for other people to rebrand it, and there are no imitation brands. It's only available through Superpatch and its affiliates, of which I am one. So this is the price of it. You can get it. I mean, to pay $60 or $45 for a month's supply of something that's going to affect your life at this level is almost a giveaway for the quality of what this means to our lives. The other way is that you could, from being a consumer of it as a customer, you can also become an owner. And Superpatch gives us an opportunity to own our own global super patch business. Let me tell you, it's so rewarding, it's very meaningful, it's a globally scalable business. It's not only very lucrative, but it's an exclusive model. There's nothing else that exists like this model out there. I'm not going to talk about this now, but for those who may have any concerns about where they are financially in life or the financial future and the security of it, and they want to look at options or potentials of what this may offer, what this may mean for them, on Monday evening, 7:30 to 8:30, that's the Caribbean, 6:30, 7:30 in North America, we present this, we present the options, we present the value of it, and we also, and that takes about 30 minutes for us to do that, and then we open up the rest of the call to answering questions about the commercial side of it, and we also answer questions about the technology of it. For those of you who are interested in that, you can get the Zoom link, and that's Monday evening. And so I am always happy to present this opportunity to everybody. Not just an opportunity for the commercial side of it, but the opportunity of how you can harness your life. The business may not be for everybody, but I'll tell you, the technology is for everybody. You either can do it as a consumer or as an owner and get the better options. But this is a way where you could begin feeling better, begin thinking better, begin living better in ways that we have not known before. And the only way you can know is that you will have to experience it for yourself. And so I want to thank each and every person for taking the time, for coming on tonight, for listening to the information. Get with the person who invited you onto the call. Get some of your questions answered. Get some more information. Go onto their websites. The clinicals are there. The neuroscience references are there. The website has all of the information. The company is very transparent. The company is very professional. But you're not going to find anything else that works like this, that is going to enhance not just your physical health, but enhance your life period more than what Super Patch does. So with this, I want to say thank you for taking the time and being with us tonight.